In a November 29th interview with Deadline Hollywood, Noah Hawley gave an update on his long in gestation Star Trek movie, which, if made, would have been the fourth of the rebooted line of movies. We emphasize if made, because as it stands, that movie is dead in the water. In this video, we will go through what Hawley said, put it into context, and explore why the movie is indeed dead at Paramount. Before we begin, we would greatly appreciate if existing subscribers could take a moment to check that they are indeed still subscribers, as we keep hearing from regular viewers that they have been unsubscribed without their consent. If you're new here, then please consider subscribing for more analysis like what you are about to receive. In an interview primarily focusing on the Fargo season finale, the conversation eventually turned to Star Trek, as Fargo showrunner Noah Hawley has been attached to that for more than a year already. Deadline Hollywood asked, "And is Star Trek possibly still in the cards for you at the new Emma Watts run Paramount, or is that too on hold?" To which Hawley responded, "It doesn't appear to be in my immediate future. I think when Emma came in, she took a look at the franchise and wanted to go in a different direction with it. But you know, life is long. We were very close to production, but in this business, that doesn't mean much. You got to get out of the gate to be in the race, if you know what I mean." What Noah Hawley is saying here is that the movie he was developing is now dead in the water. But before we explore why that is, let's explore this Emma Watts person, who was the one who decided to go in a different direction. Earlier this year, Viacom-CBS owner Shari Redstone appointed former Fox executive Emma Watts as film chief of the newly restructured Paramount Pictures. As Deadline Hollywood reported back in August, one of Watts' top priorities was figuring out just what to do with Star Trek, which traditionally has been one of Paramount Pictures' most valuable assets. It arguably no longer is, after Bad Robot ran it into the ground on the big screen, while Secret Hideout are working their particular brand of magic on the small screen. In a recent survey of over 350,000 interviewees conducted by the global insights and strategy firm NRG, of the top 20 entertainment franchises listed by Variety, Marvel dominated the list. NRG crunched the numbers to estimate which franchises could stand the test of time, reinvent themselves, and remain relevant to a global fan base. Of the 20 listed by Variety, and even with 4 television series currently in various stages of production, Star Trek was nowhere to be found. Viacom-CBS is entrusting Emma Watts to right the proverbial ship, and to once again make Star Trek the profitable franchise it used to be, merchandising and all. That would be why the first thing Emma Watts did upon receiving that assignment was to slam the brakes on Noah Hawley's in-development Star Trek IV. After those brakes had been slammed, Noah Hawley would still drop tidbits about the movie while discussing the most recent season for Fargo. In September, he revealed that his movie would feature a completely different ship and crew, but still be set somewhere recognizable. Hawley told Variety, "We're not doing Kirk and we're not doing Picard. It's a start from scratch that then allows us to do what we did with Fargo, where for the first 3 hours you go, oh, it really has nothing to do with the movie, and then you find the money. So you reward the audience with a thing that they love." He also said that the project was still alive, but in stasis. What ultimately happened was up to Emma Watts. With all of that established, let's now revisit Hawley's most recent comment from November 29th. "It doesn't appear to be in my immediate future. I think when Emma came in, she took a look at the franchise and wanted to go in a different direction with it." The latter part of that statement is correct. A more honest wording of the former would have been, "It doesn't appear to be in my long-term future, and most definitely not in my immediate future." Because what Hawley is really saying here is that Emma Watts pulled the plug on his movie, once and for all. Star Trek IV has a long and checkered production history. It was first announced the week before Star Trek Beyond opened in theaters. And in its original iteration, it was going to star both Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth, reunited as father and son. But then, Star Trek Beyond flopped spectacularly upon release, instantly making a movie as expensive as that would have not been viable. In the end, both Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth dropped out. as Paramount and production company Bad Robot offered the stars less money than they had been promised prior to Beyond bombing. Bad Robot then went in another direction, first with director S.J. Clarkson and then with director Noah Hawley. Emma Watts may have slapped on the brakes this fall, but according to Midnight's Edge's sources, what prevented all of these different iterations from getting off the ground in the 4 years between that and the original Star Trek IV announcement was lack of funding. On top of that, there was the Quentin Tarantino Star Trek project, which was never going to be directed by Quentin Tarantino, but that is long since dead too. So what could be next? Well, here is what the rumors say. Before we proceed, we must always caution that what we are about to relay to you is information that has been submitted to us by people with knowledge of the situation, or that is making the rounds in the ether. In either event, this information cannot be independently verified. As such, it must be considered rumor. Keep that in mind and take everything with a recommended daily dose of salt. With that warning out of the way, the first rumor making the rounds is that Emma Watts ditched Hawley's would-be Star Trek IV for two reasons. One was a disagreement over introducing a completely different crew. The other was over it hitting a little bit too close to home, as it dealt with a virus pandemic that spread throughout the universe, a topic which was fine when it was conceived more than a year ago. However, by the time Watts took over at Paramount, it had become a little bit on the sensitive side. Another rumor suggests that Emma Watts ditched Hawley's concept because she is revisiting the original Star Trek IV concept with Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth, meeting up in an adventure crossing time and space. Here we would like to emphasize that this particular rumor is out there making the rounds, but we have not been able to verify it with our sources. This could very well be planted misinformation, as unless Pine and Hemsworth suddenly decided to cut their rates, it seems unlikely that now, when all the studios have taken a massive hit in lost theatrical revenue, the cash-stricken Paramount would suddenly be able to afford a movie that was too expensive for them and their investors before the pandemic hit. However, what we have heard through more direct channels is that the scripts Nicholas Meyer wrote for the Khan miniseries are being looked at again, although without the participation of Nicholas Meyer himself. We were also told that Kurtzman himself is not involved. Though this does not mean that Secret Hideout may not be involved at this time, that raises more questions than we have answers. But if the Khan project is indeed being considered for revival, we do not know if it is being developed for the big or for the small screen. Going strictly by official information though, there is as of this moment, for the first time in over a decade and a half, no Star Trek movie in development at Paramount. We will keep you up to date when that situation changes. For now though, share your feelings and let us know your thoughts on Noah Hawley's iteration of Star Trek IV joining the others being scrapped in the comments. And don't forget to check out our merchandise on our mixtees.com store, including the brand new Disco Sucks t-shirt. You can look great while making a statement. Check back for more Star Trek and entertainment news and analysis right here at Midnight's Edge.